So there I was, stranded on the side of a washed out road, having watched the bus that I'd taken for the last 6 hours just abandon me and take off up the road with all my stuff on the bus. Passport, government issued ID, my cedula for down here, all my clothing, toiletries, everything that I need for day-to-day life that I've been using down here for the last 2.5 years. Stuck there with the clothes that I'm wearing, my cell phone. There's no cell service, there's no houses, no people, no buildings, no infrastructure, no hydro lines, nothing. I'm looking around, okay, and I got my money belt with some credit cards and a bit of cash. Fat lot of good it's gonna do me. There's no bank machine anywhere near here. I'm 16 kilometers away from my destination, and now I'm here alone in the middle of nowhere. WTF. So how did I get there? And more importantly, how did I get out of there? That's the subject of this video today. Hola y bienvenidos amigos. Steve here, Street Smart Travel. Today's a story about getting stranded, abandoned by a bus on the side of a washed out road 16 kilometers away from where I was going with, like I said, the clothes on my back, my cell phone in an area with no cell service, and my money belt. And I got to figure out how I'm going to catch that bus because all my stuff is on it and I'm not going very far without a passport or a cedula. This was not part of my travel plans for today or any day. So, looking back, this is a couple days ago this happened. I can be relatively calm about it as I recall the events of the day. But I've been on this bus from Cañar heading up to Baños de Agua Santa, and that was about 6 hours in at that point. Long bus ride with another one to get onto the jungle, which is where I was headed. And we're driving down this dirt road in a valley, which is not the highway. Like, I don't remember going to this destination like this before. This is a very different way. I don't know why we're on a dirt road, and the bridges on the road are wide enough for one vehicle, and that's it. And there's hardly any traffic, and there's no taxis, there's no anything. So, okay, this seems very strange to me. And we're probably about 17 kilometers away, and this car is coming from the opposite direction. And it's honking, and the guy's honking his horn and stops next to the bus. The bus stops, and there's an exchange. And I can't hear what's going on from where I am, sitting in the bus. And that guy continues on his way, and we continue for about another kilometer, and then the bus stops. And out the window, I can see, okay, there's a bunch of cars and people standing there, and I can't really make out what's going on. But everybody got off the bus, so I thought, okay, I'll get off the bus too. And this is what it looked like. A lot of vehicles were turning around because they didn't want to risk trying to get across it. If you were in a pickup truck, probably okay. If you're in a car, maybe. But maybe you get stuck and that water's not stopping, and good luck getting a tow truck out there, right? And if the bus gets stuck, good luck with that. So everybody except the driver and I think one passenger got off the bus, and we're kind of looking around, and everyone's taking pictures, of course, because why wouldn't you? And I think, okay, this is as good a place as any for me to take a bathroom break. So I climb up on a dirt mound on the side of the road in full view of the bus. There's no other vehicles around us, nobody else, just the people that were on the bus. I climb up onto this mound of dirt and proceed to relieve myself. And as I'm finishing up, I hear this sound, like, okay, that's the bus. And over my shoulder, I see the bus go full tilt across this washed out road and keep going as I'm standing on the side of the road. And it occurs to me, he's not stopping, right? He got a good head of steam together so we could cross that thing, and he keeps going. So I'm yelling at this point, and there's these 3 teenage guys on the other side of this washed out road, and they see what happens, so they start chasing after the bus and flailing arms and running around, and no, the guy takes off. So while they're doing that, I'm racking my brains. Okay, well, what can I do? I'm not running through that with my shoes on, so take my shoes and socks off, run across, and keep running barefoot on this dirt road And I catch up with these kids, and they're like, yeah, sorry, we tried. Yeah, thanks, guys, that's great, you know. And they're like, yeah, you should put your shoes on. You're going to, you know, hurt your feet running barefoot on a dirt road. And I'm like, yeah, I will. So I kept running, and in my head, I'm going through, okay, the bus clearly isn't stopping. I can't see it. It didn't even slow down. And all my stuff is on there, right? Passport, cedula, clothing, everything that I need for day-to-day life down here. And I'm going through these scenarios. Okay, there's no way I'm going to catch it, obviously. I'm 16 kilometers away from where we're going. And I know that because even though there's no cell service, I have an app that doesn't need cell service, and it's telling me roughly where I am. Like, it's like that Larson cartoon, middle of nowhere, you are here. That's where I was. And I'm thinking, okay, worst case scenario, they're going to get to the terminal, and then they'll realize when they say, hey, there's a bunch of stuff on this seat, and there's a couple bags in the baggage compartment that don't belong to anybody that's on this bus, so we probably forgot somebody back there, right? And it wasn't like they didn't see me, or it wasn't like they couldn't see me, let me say that. I'm not suggesting they did this deliberately. I'm suggesting they didn't have the capacity to think, hey, maybe we should do a head count, make sure everybody's on the bus. Third world, good times. Anyways, I tried to flag down a few vehicles. First one was going the opposite direction, like, yeah, well, good luck. Second one, she didn't even stop. And the third one, lucky for me, was those three young guys. So they were kind of laughing because, I mean, it is, in retrospect, it's kind of funny. And they're like, three of them, the back seat is filled with fruits and vegetables and all kinds of stuff. So there's a guy in the passenger seat, guy in the driver's seat, and a guy in the back. The guy in the back jumps out, and he says, yeah, go sit there, and I think we're going to share this space. Like, no. He sits on his buddy's lap in the front, in the passenger seat, which, I mean, these guys didn't have to stop, right? These are the kinds of people I meet down here. Like, these guys are fantastic. So then, you know, we're on our way. We're chasing the bus. We can't see it at this point. It's somewhere down the road. This car is loaded down with people and stuff, so it's not going real fast. But it's going in the right direction, and I'm thinking, okay, we'll get to the terminal, and I'll be able to hopefully sort all this out when we get there. We'll see. And they were asking, you know, where you're from, what happened, and they saw what happened. And they said, well, are you traveling with anybody? And I go, well, no. And they're like, oh. So, you know, they're probably not going to realize that you're not on the bus to begin with, which is why, you know, maybe they didn't see us chasing the bus, maybe whatever, but don't worry, we'll get you to the terminal in Baños, and then, you know, hopefully you can figure things out. Good guys, we're having a conversation. I'm trying to, you know, not totally lose my mind. And super grateful, by the way, that these guys picked me up, because, you know, like, what was my option? There's no taxis there, right? It was catch a ride with somebody or walk 16 kilometers. We come over this hill, and we can see, and they point out this bus, this blue Amazonas bus, and they go, that's the bus, right? And I go, yeah, that one. So we can see it, but we can't get to it because there's too much traffic. So, and I'm telling them, yeah, it's like this, it's like a James Bond movie, right? Where we're the heroes and we're chasing the bad guys, and I don't know if they got the James Bond reference. These guys were probably under 20, right? And South American. So eventually the bus pulls over on the side of the road to let somebody off, and these guys pull in front of it and come out, you know, jump out of the car, waving their hands at the driver. Hey, you know, you forgot this guy. And I shake their hands, and I offer to give them $10 for giving me a ride. They won't take it. I'm like, guys, I was stranded in the middle of nowhere, right? Like, I didn't have a way to get here. You guys really helped me out. At least let me give you some cash. No, don't worry. I'm like, super grateful that they did that, and super grateful that they, you know, weren't trying to extort me. Hey, you have to give us $20, or like nothing like that, right? Super nice, everyday, well-mannered, polite, helpful, fantastic people. The kinds of people I meet down here all the time. So at this point, we're about 500 meters away from the bus terminal, which is where we were headed. I am now back on the bus, and when I get on the bus, I'm dropping every Spanish curse word I know, leaving out the ones, you know, that were offensive, saying nasty things about the driver's mom and that kind of stuff, but a couple MF bombs, and he's laughing nervously because he knows I'm like super pissed, and it's his fault. Like, I played a role in this, but I wasn't the one driving the bus. It's his fault that he left me on the side of the road. I'm like, I was standing on the side of the road. It's all washed out, and I see the MF bus go past the MF washed out part of the road, and I can't get to the blanking bus, and all my blank stuff is on here, and how am I going to chase you guys? And anyways, went to my seat. All my stuff was still there. Everything was still in the baggage hold, so it ended well enough, let's say. But it was not a pleasant experience. and I certainly did not enjoy being on that road, literally with the clothes on my back, a phone, a handful of credit cards and some cash, which when there's no one around, like, what are you doing with credit cards and cash? You can't spend money on anything. There's no stores. There was nothing there. So a very, in retrospect, this will probably take on a life of its own as I go forward. Oh yeah, this one time, you know, there'll be, you know, police and gun chases and whatever else that worked into the story. Bottom line is, my fault for getting off the bus, but everybody else was off the bus. Their fault for not doing a head count. I'm like, hey, why is that guy standing over there on the side of the road where it's washed out when we're the only vehicle here and there's nobody else here? Literally, probably that guy needs to be on the bus. Didn't happen. I will probably write an email to the bus company explaining this, you know, without the curse words, and just, you know, could you maybe teach your guys how to count? Do a head count, make sure everybody's on the bus before they try to, you know, do some stupid superhero nonsense of trying to barrel their way across a washed out road. Like, that could have ended way worse for everybody on and off that bus. Fortunately, no harm, no foul. Managed to be reunited with my stuff and continue my journey on. So with that, I say please drop a like, subscribe if you haven't. Please pass this along to anybody who needs a laugh at the expense of a gringo being stranded on the side of the road. Happy trails. See you out on the road.